Hello everyone. So in the last video we have seen how we can create a new record, how we can add a new staff into the database, and we know now how to test it by checking our database whether new staff record has been added into our staff table. So in this video we will see how we can delete a database entry, or how we can delete a new delete an existing staff using the staff ID, because we have already written a similar code using this particular endpoint, using a delete endpoint by passing the staff ID as a path variable, and we simply go to the staff service and we use the delete staff method in the staff service. So the delete staff method will take the staff ID and it will loop the staff's list, and it will find the particular staff list staff object with the particular staff ID, and it will remove it. So now what we have to do is, instead of removing from the list, we are now going to delete it from the database, because we have added it to the database in the previous video. Now we are going to delete it from the database. So for the moment what I will do is I will comment out this code, because I'm not going to remove it from this what do you call my bad, I'm not going to remove from this list. Instead I'm going to remove it from the staff table. So for that I'm going to use the staff repository, right, that I have created in this code as in this class as a variable, right? So I will call the staff repository, and I'm going to call a method. Which method I'm going to call is, I'm going to pass an ID, right? The staff ID is my primary key in the table that I have mentioned when I created the table. So I'm going to delete using the staff ID, because that is a flow, right? Even if when I'm deleting it from the staff's list, I'm using the staff ID and I'm finding the particular object with the particular staff ID, and I'm removing the object. The same way, I'm going to remove that record from the database using the staff ID, that is my primary key. So there is a method in the repository, or JPA repository, that is being extended by the staff repository, called delete by ID. Okay, that will take an ID, and that ID should be the primary key. So using that ID, it will remove that, it will find the primary key and column, and it will check for the particular ID value, and it will delete the record of that particular primary key from the table, right? So I will call the delete by ID method, and I will simply has to pass the staff ID inside that. So it's very easy. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to write any query. So the inbuilt query will be, inbuilt method will have that respective query. And to your knowledge, once again, if you go to the staff repository, you will see the JPA repository is being extended by the staff repository. For that, we have inbuilt implementation. Spring knows what to do, and it will take the staff table, and it will take the integer as a primary key. That integer, that primary key, is none other than the staff ID we are passing inside this delete by ID method. So it will simply get the staff ID, it will know it is the primary key, the delete by ID method knows it is the primary key, and it will simply delete the particular record using that staff ID primary key from the table. And one more thing I want to tell is, if you go to the staff table, staff object, you can see we have mentioned our ID is staff ID, right? In the staff object, staff model, the staff entity. So when the staff table or staff entity is being created in the database, the staff ID has been considered as the primary key, because we mentioned it as ID. So when we try to delete by ID, this staff ID will be considered. Okay, you got it. So the primary key will be considered, and the particular record will be deleted from the database. So this is a one line change that I have made. All I have to do is I have to go where this delete staff is being called, that is none other than inside the staff controller. So delete staff is being called here, and the staff ID is being passed from the path variable, right? So I want to hit this endpoint, delete staff ID endpoint, with the staff ID, and try to see the particular record has been deleted from the database instead of any list. Okay, so first I will go to the database and I will see my existing data. So I can see there are two staffs, one is Mary, one is Anne, one is 3335 and one is 3338. So what I will do is I will try to delete Anne using my delete endpoint 3338. Okay, and see whether it works or not, because now I have changed the code flow to delete the data from the database instead of the list. So now it is supposed to work. So what I will do is I will open my endpoint. I will find my delete endpoint here that I used earlier, and I'm going to delete the 3338, right? Yeah, 3338 is already there. So I'm trying to delete this particular ID 3338. So I will again double check. So I'm going to delete Anne, right? So what I will do is first I will build my application and run. So ambient clean install will build it. Okay, so the application build is success. Now I will run it. So it's up and running. So now what I'm going to do is I see, okay, Anne is there. So, and I want to delete Anne from this existing database. Number 3338. So 3338 is being passed as a path parameter, and I'm going to call it now. Okay, I have hit the endpoint. Now it is saying a success response 200. So what I will do is I'll go to my database and I will see, I will check all the existing data so that I can see whether the Anne has been deleted or not. So you can see now Anne has been gone right from the table. Only we have Mary. So we have successfully deleted Anne. So let's try to delete Mary as well and see whether it is working. So if I want to delete Mary, I want to get her staff ID, right? It is 3335. So I will go to my Postman and I will change the ID as 3335 and I will see whether I can delete her. So it is also success response. So I will go to the database and I will again check the existing data. So now see, there is no data available. That means Mary also has been successfully deleted. So that in another word means our delete endpoint is also working successfully with the database interaction. We are able to delete the data from the database using our delete endpoint.